Quick question. So, I love being in the sun, and I always get like this buzz after I'm done being in the sun. Almost like I like gotta be like, ooh, like I'm tingly, like I feel it, like I'm like hot. I feel great. My head gets a bit clearer. Now, is that because I'm creating more ATP, or my mitochondria creating more ATP? Dr. Jack Kruse also talked about melanin being like a semiconductor that creates electricity and creates energy. Is it the melanin being like a semiconductor, or is it the red light like stimulating more ATP and energy? Is it both?
Yeah, I think it's all of those things. I mean, being out in the sun, obviously you're going to feel good. But the melanin, yeah, so melanin, it charge separates water. So it can split water molecules, and it does water molecules at a time, and it gives off free electrons. So it's basically just supplying your body with more electrons, which is super interesting. Dr. Herrera actually states that uh, the oxygen that gets delivered to our mitochondria is actually more so from melanin splitting water than from the air that we breathe. And that the reason that we breathe is actually to get rid of CO2 and not actually to breathe in oxygen.
Well, that's pretty trippy. Who's this
Yeah.
doctor?
Dr. Herrera, he wrote the book Melanin, the Master Molecule.
Okay, wow, I've never even heard of him or that, so I will definitely check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah, I think Tom Cowan loves his work too because he talks about that a little bit as well, which is cool.
Oh, okay. So we're getting an orchestra effect just of all these beautiful things that the sun is providing for us. More ATP, more
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, I mean
Wow.
ATP. We kind of think ATP is like this the I guess the energy carrier of the body, but it's actually
Yeah.
not. In terms of energy, we're getting more energy from like free electrons from our environment through grounding, through a high redox, through melanin, through UV light, and so ATP still has a role. It kind of folds and unfolds proteins, but it kind of allows proteins to kind of open up in a way where they can semiconduct electrons through them. So they kind of create like this nice grids ready for these electrons to flow through it and semiconduct. So that's what ATP is actually doing. So they saw ATP binding to these proteins, like, oh, they're giving the proteins energy, but they're actually not. It's getting them ready for the real action show, which is like the semiconduction of electrons, which is super, super cool to see and to research. Um, but also, I'd say that the UVA light, like, different light frequencies do different things for our body. And so the UVA light, especially, makes us feel really good because it's kind of making serotonin, making all these feel good hormones in our body, just really allowing our body to function well on a hormone level. And then you've got, the increase in nitric oxide. You obviously know the importance of sun as well. So you actually taking the time to be out in the sun, that's like a placebo effect of being like, yes, I'm doing something right for my body.
Yeah.
You might
Well, some people think, oh my God, I need to get the fuck out of the sun. Some
Mhm.
people literally think that. So
There's
it's
actually a
like,
podcast called that I found recently.
oh no. Well, what is it called? What is it
It's
called?
literally called Get the F Out of the Sun.
Get the F out of the sun. Yeah, and you know what? It's fine as long as, I'm sure you have clients, right? As long as they keep getting better and you keep healing people and improving the life of people through, natural methods, like there won't be no way to compete. So then that's just the way
Exactly,
I see it.
exactly. And it's like, we don't need I love the science. I'm such a nerd. After spending 6 years at uni, I'm like, "Show me the data." I still kind of have that ingrained in me. So I love reading and I love understanding the deep science, but for anyone who doesn't have a medical background, it's like the common notion is the further away from nature we get, the sicker we get. Through technology, through indoor living, through dehumanization of our soul, through social media and all these things, which is a completely another topic, but all these things are making us spiritually and physically sick. And so the more we connect with nature, the healthier that we're going to be. And so I don't think that, um, we're born, as you said, naked. We're not born with shoes on our feet. We're not born with sunglasses on. We're born into this environment that is perfectly capable of working with our body. And that our body is able to heal when we give it the right input signals and the right environment, like an environment that is supportive of its function. You think of even now, like there's such a disconnect between um, the textbooks and the literature. Like the literature, everything that I'm speaking about can be tied back to journal articles, but yet these articles have not made it into the textbooks yet. So when I was in nursing school, I was taught, ATP is the main energy molecule of the body. And mitochondria produce byproducts, which is heat, CO2, and water, and they don't do anything. And melanin just makes you tan, and like you can wear sunglasses. That's actually a good thing. But now we actually have all the studies that say that it's not right. But yet all our doctors are being taught right now with these textbooks that are saying the complete opposite. Is so outdated.
Yeah.
And so we're trusting the advice of these doctors who are all being trained the exact same way. They're not being taught to critically think. They're just being taught, here's a piece of paper that has all this writing on it. You need to remember it because I'm going to test you in 2 weeks, and you better be able to recite it because that means that you're doing a good job and you'll pass and be able to go practice. Like, that's not how we should be training doctors. I don't believe that that's going to make any steps forward in terms of reversing the chronic disease pandemic we see if we're just trying to give the same solutions to the problems that are getting worse. It just doesn't make sense. So I think that's a massive problem. And that's why I love doing podcasts like this. And I know I have a podcast myself, talking to the researchers that are producing this information, because then the people were able to act as like a silo breaker. So like this middleman between the people and then the researchers doing the work. And we're like, hey, everyone, like, look at what this guy's doing. It's really cool. Maybe it could make you healthier.
Yep. If you believe more constructive information like this should be out there for people to know, please leave a like on this video. And if you're a person who's into self-development in all aspects of their life, please subscribe, because that is what we do here at Good Demand. Keep demanding good things. And if you haven't bought a pair of our Good Night Blue Blockers and you use a phone at night or an iPad or TV at night, please consider buying a pair of these. They're beautiful and they work so well and they help support our growth.